Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news, and we've got good news tonight, and the good news continues to roll in fairness. It's been a very positive summer for Manchester United, but of course, as you can see by the title of the video, Bruno Fernandes has signed a new contract with Manchester United, so we're going to talk about that and the importance of it to Manchester United over the coming years. We've got some quotes from the player himself, from Dan Ashworth, so on and so forth. We'll talk about that. Really positive news. We've got some updates as well, guys, on Manuel Ugarte. We'll bring you that as well from Fabrizio Romano. What does that mean for Jadon Sancho? It looks like the trail has gone cold a little bit in terms of the pursuit of Jadon Sancho from certain clubs. However, we do have a very positive update on another outgoing, and it's Scott McTominay. As you can see again from the title of the video, there is a potential move to Italy for him, so we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about Harry Maguire. He's had some interesting things to say today about his future at United. And we've also got a little update on Frankie de Jong. Supposedly Manchester United have had a bid rejected for him. So what does that mean in terms of our pursuit of a midfielder again in the summer? But as always, guys, please do smash a like on the video. Hit subscribe if you are new to the channel. Like I said, we're very close. I think we're about 30 away from 11,000 subscribers. So if you can, do hit that subscribe button. It helps us out an awful lot. But as always, guys, do get your thoughts and comments into the live chat as well. We'll go through as many comments as possible tonight, and of course we do have a poll in the live chat as well. Get your votes in on that as well. Will Scott McTominay leave this summer? It's 50-50 at the moment, so make sure you're getting your votes in on that as well. But guys, we do start with the good news coming out of Manchester United today, and it's in relation to that man right there. Bruno Fernandes has signed a new contract at Manchester United. Now, we have heard about this rumbling about it over the last few weeks, and there was even reports early in the transfer window suggesting that Bruno could potentially leave. Saudi Arabia were, heavily linked with him and big admirers of them, and we kind of said early on, didn't we, that these kind of news stories tend to just progress a new contract if the player doesn't leave. And look, nobody deserves a new contract at Manchester United more so than Bruno Fernandes. He's been absolutely unbelievable for us since he signed. Obviously, it was broken today by United. He said Bruno Fernandes has signed a new contract with Manchester United until 2027 with the option of a further year. So we've potentially got 4 more years of Bruno Fernandes, which is absolutely fantastic. It really is. The importance of Bruno Fernandes to Manchester United over the last few years has been absolutely monumental, it has to be said. And, I would go as far as saying that Bruno Fernandes is good enough to get into any Manchester United team throughout history. He really is, in my opinion. I think he's absolutely fantastic. He's now the captain of the club as well, and rightly so. He sets standards, in fairness to him. And look, you will have, the naysayers and the opposition fans, saying that, he's a whinge and he's a moan and he's petulant, and he can be those things, of course he can, but by God, do the positives outweigh the negatives with Bruno Fernandes. And the one thing I would say as well is that he's absolutely always available, and we'll put this stat up on the screen as well. Most appearances for a Premier League club since Bruno Fernandes joined. He's 9 ahead of Rodri, which, is absolutely unreal. It has to be said. He's constantly available. He's never injured. I think he's missed 3 games in his entire career, I think, and 2 of them have been down to, one has been an illness and one is a knock, and the other one was an injury. He was out for 3 or 4 days or something like that. So yeah, he's been absolutely instrumental to everything Manchester United are trying to do over the last few years, being positive. And I think we've let him down an awful lot more than he has let us down since he signed. So it's brilliant to see that he has signed a new contract. Some quotes from Bruno Fernandes then as well. Everybody knows the passion I have for Manchester United. I understand the responsibility and significance of wearing this shirt and the levels of dedication and desire required to represent this incredible club. He goes on then to say, from my discussions with the football leadership and manager, it is clear how determined everyone is to fight for major trophies in the years ahead. I can see how positive the future is going to be, and I am relishing leading this team forward. That's the quote for me that really stands out. Bruno Fernandes loves playing for Manchester United. You can see it. You can see the passion that he gives. You can see the disappointment in his face, the times when, we lost finals. The Europa League is a big one when he was in tears, and he was in tears after the FA Cup final last year as well when we lost to Manchester City. So the fact that he is signed and will be staying at the club, for at least another 3 years is absolutely fantastic news. It has to be said. Dan Ashworth was also speaking today as well. He says Bruno Fernandes has performed at a very high level with remarkable consistency since joining Manchester United. He is a fantastic leader, setting daily standards and inspiring players and staff to excel every day. Bruno Fernandes, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely delighted that he is signing a new deal, or that he has signed a new deal. Let's see what you guys think about it. Bruno Fernandes signs a contract extension. Happy days, says Danny. Dylan is in. Ben is there as well. Dylan says, heard Napoli wants Scott. We're going to talk about McTominay in a few minutes. Alan says, good news about Bruno. Absolutely. My captain, El Magnifico. Danny says, today is a good day for Man United with Bruno signing a contract extension. We'd be nuts to let him leave. Happy days. Warren says, Bruno getting a contract extension makes sense. God knows what the hierarchy of clowns are doing over at Chelsea. More Bruno can only be a good thing. He's part machine, I'm sure of it. David says, lads, the new Adidas United ad with Barry Keoghan is superb. Even the marketing staff are on fire right now. Got me proper in the mood for the new season. It's absolutely unbelievable. I have to hand it to Manchester United over the last maybe 12 months or so. Every bit of content they put out is absolutely top notch. It really, really is. It's top notch. I go back to the Roy Keane one. So you want to be a devil, do you? It's giving me shivers even talking about it. And then you go to the Stone Roses collaboration as well. When I have a few beers in me, that's my go-to video. That Stone Roses, this is the one. It just, it gets me going. Yeah, and look, the content we've been putting out is brilliant, and I love all the retro gear as well. It's. I think Manchester United are starting to be cool again. I don't want to be too forward thinking, but I think it's starting to become fashionable to be a United fan again, which can only be a good thing. And let's try and replicate that on the pitch as well. Dylan says Bruno needs to stay. We can never replace him. When he missed 2 games last year, we got baited by Palace 4-0. Exactly. And the thing about it is, with Bruno Fernandes, there will come a day where he will have to leave the club. Of course there will. But if we're talking about, some of the reports that were suggested at the start of this of the transfer window that United were looking to potentially cash in on Bruno. Now, it's absolute nonsense. If that was the case, you would need 120, 130, 140 million to get a player in of Bruno Fernandes's ilk, whether that be in terms of the ability that he has, the goals, the assists, the performance levels, just everything, the whole package. It would be a massive fee you would have to pay to get somebody in to cover Bruno Fernandes. So I'm delighted that he's here to stay. Ben says Bruno was a no-brainer, best player we signed in ages. Did Bruno come in January? Am I correct in saying that, or did he come in the summer transfer window? I thought he came in January for some reason. Maybe I'm wrong now. You can let me know in the chat. With Bruno, we're on for great things, says Dylan. And he also says, I can never imagine the day Bruno leaves. I'll never love a player the same as I love Bruno. Well, there you go. There we go. So look, absolutely great news. And it's it shores up that midfield position at number 10 for the foreseeable, which there's never an issue with Bruno Fernandes, which is great. You never have to worry about him being injured. And look, we know he's getting older. Of course he is. What is he now? Is he 30 years of age? 29, 30 years of age now? I'll tell you exactly what age he is. Bruno Fernandes. He's 29, so he'll be 30 in about 3 weeks' time. So the way he keeps himself fit and looks after himself, never injured, is a testament to him. He's the utmost professional, and like I said, he is probably going to get more injuries as he gets older, like everybody does. But for now, I mean, he's in his prime at the moment, and I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, Bruno came in January, everyone is saying. Yeah, so happy days. Happy days. So great news. Happy days. Get your votes in as well, guys. We've got the poll running in the live chat. Make sure you're voting on it. Will McTominay leave this summer? 53% of people are saying he will, with 47% saying no. So it's a very close call there on the live poll, so make sure you're getting involved in that as well, and do smash a like on the video also, guys. Right, I want to move it on and talk a little bit about other midfielders. It's very midfield based tonight, and we're going to talk about Ugarte. Now, we've heard from Fabrizio Romano today that Manchester United, Manuel Ugarte is insisting on getting his move to Manchester United, as both clubs are still in talks. PSG are keen on selling him, with Jorge Mendes leading negotiations. Now, we heard only yesterday that Jorge Mendes was in England, and he's in England to discuss the future of two of his players. One is João Felix to Chelsea, and the other one is Manuel Ugarte to Manchester United. So I would not be surprised if we get some pretty decent updates on Manuel Ugarte in the coming days. Now, at the moment, we're getting the usual keen on selling him. We haven't heard anything on a bid yet, but look, I think Manchester United are quite keen on getting a reinforcement midfielder in, especially in the number 6 role. And look, we know this guy fits the bill 100%. A lot of people saying as well about, and I just wanted to bring this to everybody's attention, because a lot of people saying, that we're going to have to sell now to buy. Okay, and there was an interesting piece coming out of the Times today, and it says that Manchester United have raised about £60 million so far from sales of Mason Greenwood, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Cambuala, Donny van de Beek and Alvaro Fernandes. And I just thought it was interesting to bring it to you guys to say, we got rid of Mason Greenwood and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The first, or the only two real first teamers there, you could say. Cambuala, Donny van de Beek and Alvaro Fernandes were, relative fringe players. But you look at, Greenwood and Wan-Bissaka, for example, will be the bulk of that money, and you're getting £60 million in, by getting rid of these fringe players. So if we could delve a little bit deeper in terms of getting rid of a Harry Maguire, a Scott McTominay, a Jadon Sancho, for example, I mean, I think it would automatically free up a hell of a lot of funds for United to go and maybe not just sign one more player before the end of the window, but multiple. So I thought it was important to bring that to you today. But Manuel Ugarte is ticking over. I'm about, if you ask me, out of 10, 10, he's definitely going to sign. 1, he won't sign. I'm probably at a 7 at the moment. I think there's a high possibility that United will get this deal over the line. Now, whether that deal is a potential loan deal or whether it's a permanent transfer, that remains to be seen. There has been a lot of reports suggesting that it could be a loan with either an option or an obligation to buy. And again, I've said that before, that I wouldn't be against that at all. I really, really wouldn't. I think Ugarte to Manchester United, however it happens, would be a fantastic acquisition, in my opinion. Now, we have also heard, and a lot of people have been saying, that why don't we use Jadon Sancho to, try and get the Ugarte deal over the line? And I've always said that, loan deals are very hard to do. And the reason being is that both clubs have to agree on fees, both clubs have to agree on add-ons, sell-ons, and then you have to get personal terms agreed by both players to go in the opposite direction. It can be quite difficult. And obviously the Sancho to PSG has been, quite heavily linked over the past few weeks, but we are hearing reports today suggesting that Manchester United's Jadon Sancho is set for an Old Trafford stay, unlikely to be involved in a swap transfer deal. Obviously, we know what we're talking about here. Manchester United are poised to offer one of their underperforming stars a renewed chance to revitalise his Old Trafford career. Jadon Sancho has been linked with a move to PSG this summer. The French club aim to bolster their attack after Kylian Mbappe's departure. The Telegraph report that PSG are unlikely to bid for Sancho as he is not part of their plans. The report highlighted United's commitment to granting the 25-year-old a fresh opportunity to rejuvenate his career. Blah, blah, blah. We know all of that kind of stuff. The 25 million rated star made his first appearance. Blah, blah, blah. Sancho faces a tough battle to play regularly due to the heavy competition for the two wing positions. The Red Devils are eyeing a move for PSG's Manuel Ugarte and could have offered a straight swap deal for Sancho heading the other way. However, the League One outfit are not keen to land him, which could impact United's pursuit of Ugarte. Again, we've been talking about Ugarte going one way, Sancho going the other way. That looks like it's not going to be the case now, okay? So what does that mean going forward then? That means potentially that United might have to sell somebody to bring in Ugarte. Now, before we get into who we could potentially sell, let's talk about Jadon Sancho for a moment. I do think it's quite clear, even with Manchester United's PR around Sancho that, he's been given a new chance and he's made up with Erik ten Hag. I still think it's quite clear that they're happy to offload him if a suitable offer comes in. And I think that should be the case. I'm not going to go into my thoughts on Jadon Sancho again. You all know what I think about him. I don't think he should be at the club anymore. And he is one of the people who provides a real opportunity to get some good money in the door for a player heading out, and also getting an awful lot of money off the wage bill. And I think that's really, really important for United going forward with PSR, with FFP, so on and so forth. But it looks like Jadon Sancho is set to stay at Manchester United. He is set to stay. PSG were the only club really interested in him. Now, whether that remains the case between now and the end of the transfer window, we'll have to wait and see. However, by the looks of things right now, Jadon Sancho is going to be reintegrated back into the squad, and he's going to be, he's going to get game time. He's going to be there at Manchester United this season. Do I want him to stay? No. Do I want him to be successful at Manchester United if he stays? Of course I do. Of course I do. It can only benefit Manchester United if Jadon Sancho has a good season, regardless of whether I want him to stay or not. For a number of different reasons. Of course, we get the benefit of him scoring goals, maybe getting assists, putting in good performances. But longevity, you're talking about getting a good transfer fee in from maybe next summer, if and when, I would say, we decide to get rid of him, whenever that may be. He's on massive money, and I think that's probably going to be the main sticking point with an awful lot of clubs trying to sign him. We see with players, and we're going to get into one of our own players in a minute, who are quite reluctant to take a pay cut. And Jadon Sancho, given the money that he's on at Manchester United, I think is going to fall quite comfortably into that bracket where he will, not want to take a significant pay cut to leave Manchester United. Now, PSG are one of a small select few clubs who could offer him similar to what he's getting at United if they wanted to. Now, I don't think they would be foolish enough to do that, but they're obviously getting massive wages off of their books with Kylian Mbappe leaving the club as well. So maybe that frees up some space for them also. Jadon Sancho, I think, is going to get stuck at Manchester United. I think he's going to be one of them players that we will not be able to get rid of. I honestly believe that. We've spoke in depth about players not being able to leave Manchester United and United not being able to get rid of them because of the wages that they're on. Massive money for average players we've been paying, and that's a hangover that we continue to have from the old regime, the Ed Woodwards of the world, John Murtaghs, Richard Arnold, so on and so forth. So as good and as cutthroat that Ineos are in the transfer window, and as the new owners of Manchester United, if a player don't want to leave, he don't have to leave. It's as simple as that. The days of Alex Ferguson bringing you into the office and going, we've accepted a bid from Inter, here's your plane ticket, you fly out in the morning. That doesn't happen anymore. I remember the story about Paul Ince. He found out he was playing a round of golf with, was it Giggs or Sharp or someone like that, He got the phone call off of Alex Ferguson saying, "We sold you to Inter Milan. You're due for a medical there in 2 days," and that was it. He was gone, and that's the way it used to be. But it's not like that anymore, unfortunately, I would say. Well, look, from a player's standpoint as well, from legal aspects and all, you would say, there has to be some legal ramifications for all that as well. Dylan says, glad to see players not joining us for money anymore, and we're getting players who actually want to play for us. Danny says, Manuel Ugarte demands a move to Manchester United. He wants the move done quickly. He is fighting to get the move done. There are a lot of really strong words out there, Danny. He wants to play for us, which is great. Absolutely. Oshin says, imagine going from Mbappe to Sancho. I know. And Ben says, what are De Ligt and the other fella's wages? I'm not actually sure, to be honest with you. I was minding the kids today, so I hadn't got my finger on the pulse. But it's great. I'm delighted more than anything else to see them getting number 3 and number 4. De Ligt especially with number 4. That reminds me, I've got to do the graphics for De Ligt and Mazraoui now for the watch along on Friday night. I'm going to write that down. There we go. So yeah, I mean, happy days. Number 3 and number 4. De Ligt centre half. Number 4, brilliant. Happy days. And I think, look, whenever Harry Maguire decides to move on, I think we will probably see Lenny Yoro wear the number 5 beside him. And Lisandro Martinez has the number 6, doesn't he? You don't mind your own kids, your parents do. Well, I work a 4-day week, so on Wednesdays I give my parents a break, and I mind the kids. So there you go. Ben says, I didn't get to look at the wages myself. De Ligt apparently took a pay cut to join. I wouldn't be surprised with that, to be honest with you. I'd say he's taken pay cuts from Juventus to Bayern Munich, and I'd say he's taken another one again to Manchester United. But when you look at De Ligt, I mean, it's such great value for money. When we're talking about Manchester United were in for Brantwaite at £75 million. We're after getting De Ligt for about 40 million, which is half the price. And he's by far a better player than Brantwaite. And look at the amount of experience that he has. So when you're talking about De Ligt coming in for £40 million, in comparison to £75 million for Brantwaite, I think it's an absolute no-brainer. I think it's a really, really smart deal by the powers that be at Manchester United. It really, really is, I have to say. But yeah, and Mazraoui as well. You know what I mean? Mazraoui is a smart signing. Can play both right back and left back. You would hope that he's going to stay injury free. Because he has had a checkered injury record. But I think given the fact that Delort can play on either side as well, I think it gives vital cover for us. I really do. Now, while we're on the midfield subject with Ugarte there, guys, there has been some very positive, and we spoke about, obviously, these are all linked together. So we spoke about Ugarte and the potential swap deal for Jadon Sancho. We now know that Jadon Sancho to PSG is pretty much not going to happen, according to reports today. Now, that leads us to needing to sell a player to maybe buy Ugarte. Now, that player, if you're talking about midfielders, has to be Scott McTominay. And some very interesting reports coming out today that Napoli are in talks over a potential deal for Scott McTominay. The reports are coming out from the Times. It says Napoli have open talks with Manchester United over the potential signing of Scott McTominay. The Italian club would prefer a loan deal for the midfielder, as it is understood that their transfer budget does not stretch to United's asking price of 25 to 30 million pounds. Hiccups, Jesus. Now, we do know that there has been interest from a raft of different clubs in the Premier League, Fulham being the number 1, and we only heard a couple of days ago that Fulham are not giving up on Scott McTominay, and that they could potentially come in with a third bid for him. They've had 2 bids rejected already, and I don't see why you would go in with 2. I mean, their second bid was so close to United's valuation. I think, was it 22 million they came in for? And United wanted 25 plus add-ons. And yeah, I mean, I don't see how Fulham wouldn't be able to do that. So I would be surprised if Fulham don't come back in. So, like Napoli, for example, now they've, obviously they won the Scudetto a couple of years ago. Last season, they had an absolute atrocious season. And they're obviously looking to rebuild. Now, look, I don't know how Scott McTominay fits into their way of playing. I don't watch Napoli very often. But they obviously see something in him that we can go, yes, sir, please take him. So, look, again, look, we've got the poll in. To be honest with you, the reports that we're hearing about Scott McTominay, and the poll is absolutely 50-50 at the moment in the live chat, whether Scott McTominay will leave or not. So make sure you're getting your votes in. We'll end that poll in a couple of minutes. Scott McTominay, I think by the looks of things, is the most likely to leave. You know, from that kind of, you know, Sancho, Maguire, McTominay, you know, you could even throw Luke Shaw, you know, these types, Casemiro. It does look at the moment that Scott McTominay is probably the most likely to leave. And the reason I say that is because of the interest that other clubs have in him. Nobody is in for Casemiro. Nobody now, by the looks of things, is in for Jadon Sancho, and nobody is in for Harry Maguire. We've heard of, I think, 4 different clubs now that have been interested in Scott McTominay. There's been interest from Italy, Turkey, and the Premier League, couple of clubs in the Premier League. So, I mean, if you're going on that basis alone, Scott McTominay is the most likely to leave. We just need somebody to meet that 25 million asking price. And again, we go back to what we've said before: 25 million pounds asking, or 25 million pounds in the door for McTominay, pure profit. An academy player, no money spent on him. It goes straight towards PSR or FFP, whatever the case may be. I think, yeah, and again, look, Scott McTominay is look. I like Scott McTominay. He gives his all. You know, Chris says get that bum out of our club. I would nearly give you a 5-minute ban for saying something like that. To be honest with you, Scott McTominay has never done anything other than his utmost best for Manchester United. His best is not good enough. That's the problem here, and you cannot blame a lad for wanting to play for Manchester United as an academy player and not wanting to leave Manchester United because he was academy player. And I understand that. But, you know, eventually the day comes where, you know, you just have to say, look, Scott, you're not good enough. You're not in the plans, and it's time to move on. Now, again, I mean, let's play devil's advocate here. If Scott McTominay was to stay as a squad player, I think the majority of Manchester United fans would be happy. I think if we could get Ugarte in, for example, and we didn't need to sell any other midfielders, I think a lot of Manchester United fans would be quite happy to see Scott McTominay stay as a squad player. And I would be the same. I would have no problem with Scott McTominay staying as a squad player. My issue is that we need to get money in the door. And he gives us a viable option of doing that, you know. So for that reason and that reason alone, you know, I would move him on. I would move him on, I have to say. Let's see what people are saying here. Danny says, selling Scott McTominay will be pure profit in the pocket, which will go towards helping us bring in some players. Time to offload. Exactly. Mbappe just scored for Real Madrid, says Oshin. We read that one out already. Send him this way. Chris was kidding. He needs to go. David says, I'd be sad to see Scott go. There we go. Worked hard, never complained. Some important goals for him, but get why he has to go as well. Exactly. That comment just sums it up in a nutshell pretty much about Scott McTominay. Danny says, reports coming out at a Turkish team have put in a bid for Anthony. Hopefully it's true, and hopefully we take it and get him gone. He's not good enough at all. Well, again, Anthony falls into the bracket of a player that I would gladly see leave. I think he's not good enough, and it would be time to move him on, in my opinion. We're going to take a massive loss on Anthony regardless. But again, it all comes down to whether, you know, if we're talking about Turkey are not flush with cash, and that's the problem. So they're probably going to come in with a 15 or 20 million bid, and I don't think United can take that big of a loss on him. We would probably want minimum 30 for him, I would say. And he's on big wages as well. If there's ever a lad to look at that would say, I'm not leaving because I'm on a certain amount of money, it's Anthony. Just by looking at him, I would be nearly convinced he would fall into that category, to be honest with you. Chris says if he stays, he's going to sit and watch squad players do what? Who is he going to play in front of? He's not good enough as a squad player. Well, again, we go back to what we've said, Chris. You know, Manchester United of old, and any successful team has got a squad of players that they can use, not maybe because they're good enough to use, or good enough to give a chance to try and get into the first team for a long term or a long spell, but to give the main lads a rest. To rest Bruno Fernandes, to rest Kobbie Mainoo, to rest, if it's Casemiro, Ugarte, whoever it is. And I think that's probably why, if he stays, he would be important to us. Dylan says, I'd like Scott to stay, but he's not good enough. Robbie is in. He says, as much as we need the money, it would be devastating. Every manager has loved him for a reason. His great attitude, wouldn't have won the FA Cup last season without him. Yeah, and look, you're right, Robbie. I mean, there is, obviously, I think Jose Mourinho destroyed him. I think destroyed him. Even though Jose Mourinho gave him his debut, I still think that, all Jose saw was 6'4", 6'5". Yeah, you're number 6. You'll do. Yeah, number 6. And Scott McTominay played in a 10. He was actually a striker at underage and dropped into the 10. And we've seen probably the only manager to play him in his most natural position has been Ten Hag, and Ten Hag has got the most out of him. So yeah, I mean, again, I wouldn't be devastated if he stays, to be honest with you. No one questions Scott's intention. He plays hard, just not good enough. Every time he comes in, we all wince. Well, that is true, in fairness. Anthony would excel in Turkey, says Ushin. I wonder why. We don't have any better squad players than Scotty, says Dylan. Injury's going to worry me this season, says Ben. Well, we can't be as unlucky as we were last season, Ben. Ushin says, Scotty goes missing in games. We can't afford to have passengers. And Fitz says, I haven't heard anything on Victor Lindelof leaving the club. Is anyone interested, or does the manager want to keep him? Well, the manager certainly doesn't want to keep him, Fitz. And there has been, I suppose, the main reports have been coming out of Turkey for Victor Lindelof, the main links. I think Jose Mourinho is quite keen to bring him to Fenerbahce. Again, look, I think Victor Lindelof will leave. With De Ligt coming in and Yoro coming in, Martinez, Maguire, Johnny Evans, I think Victor Lindelof is going, Jesus. You look at Johnny Evans played is Victor Lindelof injured? I don't know if he is or not. But if he isn't, and Johnny Evans plays ahead of you in the Community Shield. He did pick up an injury last week, didn't he, potentially? But look, I think Victor Lindelof will go before the end of the transfer window, to be honest. And if he doesn't, it's a joke. Not a joke that, from a board perspective, but another player that has no ambition to leave because of the money that he's on, I would say. That unveiling of the third shirt looks very white and not off-white. I don't know. It looks white there. I was on the Manchester United website today. Even though I've got that one, I was on the United website today with Martinez number 6 on the back and 127 euro, and I didn't hit buy, but I'm very fucking close to doing it. I'm very close. It's my favourite kit in. And to see that ad, to see the United advert with Barry Keoghan today, and seeing everyone in that kit. You're talking about Kobbie Mainoo, and you're talking about, Jaap Stam was in it, my own mate. Garnacho, Highlander in it. Brian Robson is in the video. You're seeing Rio Ferdinand wear it in the advertisement with Zidane, Del Piero, who else is in it? Patrick Vieira, Bastian Schweinsteiger, and there's one other, I think. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unreal. I love it. It's my favourite shirt. I think it's my favourite shirt ever, to be honest with you. It's up there with the best shirts United have ever had. I think it's absolutely unbelievable, to be honest with you. Let's move it on and talk about the big man at the back, Harry Maguire. Now, reports coming out today saying that Harry Maguire is willing to fight for his place at Manchester United. And I done a TikTok on it today about Harry Maguire. He's basically come out and said that he sees himself having a big part to play in this Manchester United team in the upcoming season. And I basically said that I wish Harry Maguire would just tell the truth and say, I'm here for the money. Because that's all he's here for at the moment. He's here for the money. If Harry Maguire thinks that he's going to have a big part to play when we've got, Yoro in, okay, he's injured, De Ligt, Martinez, even Johnny Evans, Maguire will have a part to play, but it ain't going to be a big one. It's going to be, barring, if we don't have any injuries this season, Maguire will play 15 games max. To be honest with you, I honestly, if De Ligt and Martinez stay injury free for the entirety of the season, and Yoro comes back without any injuries after his one, Maguire doesn't get a look in. He just doesn't get a look in. So for him to come out and say that he thinks he has a big part to play in the upcoming season, it sounds a little bit deluded to me, or he's just not telling the truth and saying, I want to stay for the money. So look. Again, it's disappointing because we were close to offloading him last season or last summer, and it didn't go through because he wanted to stay. Again, it was down to money. He wanted a payout to leave. United wouldn't give it to him. He's going to be another player that runs down his contract at United. He just is. He just is. What has he got left? Has he got 2 years left? Let's see. Harry Maguire contract. Expiry. His contract is actually up next year, so he's going into the final year of his contract. Is that right? United probably have the option to extend it by a year, which they will do in January if we don't offload him this summer. He's got a year left in his deal, and I presume United have got a 1 year extension clause on that, because if they don't, he's gone on a free anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if Maguire runs down his contract, to be honest with you. He doesn't look like... he played a good amount of games last season for us with Martinez out injured, and he played quite well. Of course he did. He played quite well, but we don't need quite well anymore. We need consistently quality. Consistent quality is what we need, and a stable back four. Maguire doesn't give you a stable back four. I don't care. And a lot of people saying to me on online today that I was being a bit harsh on him. I've never had an issue with Harry Maguire's professionalism. He's been the utmost professional with all of the stuff that went on. With the captaincy being taken away from him, with all of the issues going on that happened to him in Greece and so on and so forth, the criticism coming from the media, from the fan base. He's always just put his head down and worked hard. Never an issue with Harry Maguire's professionalism. It's his quality that's the problem, and that's what he'll always be judged on, with me anyway. Let's finish on a funny one, okay? Manchester United reportedly have €50 million bid for Frankie de Jong rejected. Would it be a transfer window without a few Frankie de Jong reports? Let's go down through this and see what we think. Now, I'll talk about it in a minute. 1 sec. So, Manchester United, anyway, the Daily Mail are the culprits this time, claiming that United have actually lodged a substantial bid for the Dutch international. The outlet reports that United have reignited their interest in de Jong after having an opening £42.7 million bid rejected, but the La Liga giants are willing to sell, according to the reports. The Mail does not specify the source of those reports, which hardly adds any credibility to the story. Pinch of salt. The report further claims that Barcelona president Juan Laporta wants to recoup as much of their initial outlay as possible, and has slapped a £60 million asking price on the midfielder, along with an additional £8.5 million in add-ons. It's almost certain that Barca are desperate to sell the player, and de Jong would be the ideal departure, given his extortionate wages and ability to command a decent figure. However, the idea that United would go straight in with €50 million bid seems highly unlikely unless it was structured. For example, €40 million plus 10 in bonuses. It also seems highly probable that Barcelona would snap their hand off if they did bid €50 million in cash, given the circumstances. Look at that. He earns €721,000 per week at the Camp Nou. and still has 2 years to run on his contract. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So yeah, look, I mean, I think that that report from the People's Person is pretty spot on in relation to the initial report from the Daily Mail. Absolute pish, in my opinion. And again, I think it's, that last bit that we read there, the fact that if United did go in with a €50 million bid, Barcelona would not be turning that down. They would not be turning that down. No way. No way, Jose. But Frankie de Jong, the issue with Frankie de Jong has always been his salary. €721,000 a week. I mean, how in the name of divine holy mother of divine God would Barcelona ever decide to give a number 6, a midfielder, 721 grand a week? It's absolutely crazy. You know what I mean? That's Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo levels of money. But De Jong is getting it. De Jong will never leave Barcelona until that contract is up. He would be stupid to leave Barcelona until his contract is up. If he did, I'll eat me jocks. And you can clip that up. So you can. Yeah, De Jong is not coming to Manchester United, I don't think. Unless he, takes a massive pay cut. Anyway, guys, I think we'll leave it there for tonight. We're getting very, very, very close to the start of the Premier League season. We're 2 nights away now, so really, really looking forward to it. We'll be back again tomorrow night from 9 o'clock, so I hope you can join us for that, for the eve of the start of the Premier League. And again, of course, we will be live for the game on Friday night from 7 o'clock, so please do join us for that as well. Really appreciate it. If you haven't, guys, already, please do smash a like on the video. It helps the channel out like you wouldn't believe. It really does. The algorithm and YouTube will push it out to more people. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already done so, do hit that subscribe button. I think we're about 30 away. Less than 30 away, I would say, at this stage to hit 11,000 subscribers. So please do hit that subscribe button as well. Helps the channel out an awful lot. We're nearly there. Premier League is nearly back. Absolutely buzzing for Friday night. I hope to see you again tomorrow night, guys. Join us from 9 as always. Hit them notification bells as well. You get notified when we're live. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night, and I'll chat to you tomorrow. Take it easy.